The best coverage of high school and college athletics in Northeast North Carolina begins now. This is NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
High school playoff basketball, how do you do? Already second round bound. It's Owen Hassel and Malcolm Shields with you for the 27th episode of the third season of Northeastern North Carolina's favorite sports talk show. Malcolm, if there was any first round game that would be considered at least a mild upset, had to come from the Camden girls team, won against host Raleigh Charter, played at Cary Academy. Privilege on top of privilege to fight back against there.
Yep.
We're talking about the triangle area. But with us to break down the victory, because again, we call it a mild upset, is Lady Bruins coach Matt Sundberg. What a moment under the sun, Berg, that you had with your Lady Bruins beating Raleigh Charter 41-40. How are you doing?
I'm doing. Thanks, fellas. Thanks for having me on. It was a great win for the program. The girls fought hard, and it was emotional roller coaster, tight first round playoff game, and really excited to continue on in the state playoffs.
So we got a lot more to talk about playoff basketball wise. You've been to some games, Malcolm. I've been to some games already, and also conference tournament week that finished up last week. It's easy to forget about conference tournament championships when you go right into playoffs, and a lot of those conference tournaments don't really do anything for the playoffs unless some team out of nowhere wins the championship, right? Mm-hmm. And that hasn't, as far as I know, it didn't happen really anywhere that you could see. I don't remember.
Off the top of my head now.
Right. But for more on Northeastern North Carolina sports, follow us on Twitter. Also use that hashtag NENC Sports to keep the discussion rolling. You can follow us at NENC Sports. Then for me, I'm at ONOBX. Malcolm?
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
Coach Sundberg, you have Twitter as well?
I do. It's Matt_Sundberg22.
Right. And there's more ways to stay involved with sports in Northeastern North Carolina in the form of a blog. Go to nencsports.wordpress.com for all types of different things. A video that Malcolm puts up all the time. We have different polls sometimes on maybe the top area teams, and we're getting in the spring sports soon.
Yep.
So we'll definitely have more coming at you because that starts next Monday. Holy smokes. Here we go. Spring sports season right around the corner. It feels like spring outside as well. We'll be right back after this.
WRVS 89.9 provides training for all students and volunteers interested in radio broadcasting. But without your donations, this radio station will go silent. Let's make a sound today. Now is a great time to give back to public radio. Make a tax-deductible donation by calling 252-335-3985 or online at www.ecsu.edu/WRVS.
It ain't no joke, I like to buy the world a token, teach the world to sing it.
Malcolm, the contest here is to how many times I can find puns with sun in it.
Doing good so far.
And right now, 1 for 1.
Doing good.
I have a bunch in my head, but I can only come with 2 or 3 for the show. This was one of them. Coach, are you impressed?
I'm not. I usually get the
hurt my feelings on the show. We just got started. I don't want to kick him off the show.
It's my last name. There's a lot of puns, nicknames that I've been given over the years. So I've love to hear some more. See if there's any new ones I haven't heard before.
I have to come a little more funk.
Yep.
A little more funk I'm going to have to. I don't know if I can come with enough funk right now. He kind of shot me down. That's okay, though. We can get back in the basketball playoffs. We can get back to the task at hand. One stat that flat out surprised me. Amazed at it. Didn't see it coming. In the first round Tuesday, the Coastal 10 Conference girls went 4-3. Could have been 5-2, Malcolm. You were at the Brook-Women's girls game against Rosewood at home. What broke down there?
Brook-Women's, they got off to a good start there in the third quarter, had a pretty good lead, and then Rosewood went to the press, started to speed them up, got some turnovers, and it was kind of back and forth there in the fourth quarter. Brook-Women's had a shot there at the end of the game, but just shot by McCray Knapp was just off. But Brook-Women's had their chances there in that ball game.
Yeah, but still 4-3 for the conference first round. teams that won, well, Plymouth, we knew that was going to happen. No surprise. They could go through 4 rounds deep. The fighting Brittany Franklin's and Plymouth. Mania won at Pender. Ocracoke won at Lewisburg. And then, of course, Camden beating Raleigh Charter. If you'd asked me before Tuesday how many girls' teams from that conference reached the second round, I would have just said Plymouth. Why would I have just said Plymouth?
Because it's Plymouth.
Right. But I was obviously wrong. Do you, Coach, chime in here on us kind of, I'm going to put myself out there because Malcolm's not saying anything. It's all me. I only said Plymouth would advance. What makes the league stronger than maybe I'm thinking?
I think people don't take into consideration how many 2A schools that the league plays at the beginning of the year. You're talking about Battle of the Beach, Manio, First Flight, Currituck, Cape Hatteras, and Ocracoke. And if you look, Currituck's always strong. Matt Dixon's got a good squad, building a good program. First Flight, it is always a strong team. And I think, playing the 2A schools in the area, the Coastal 10 Conference, win or lose, you get good basketball and you learn from it. And I think that's paid dividends for us as far as moving forward into the playoffs, and obviously for Ocracoke and Manio. So that's my little take on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of 2A schools you're playing, and I thought you fought pretty hard against Pasquotank in both games, even though you lost both. And then the Northeastern win, which I still consider maybe the biggest upset in girls basketball in the area
it's right
this
up
season.
There. It's right up there.
Got to be top 3. I mean, when I first heard that Camden won, I thought Brianna Proctor didn't play. It was just the first thing that came to my mind. No, she played. And I wasn't at the game, but it seemed like your girls just found a way against Northeastern and just sort of said, okay, Proctor's going to get hers. We just need to stop the rest. I mean, what was the strategy?
Looking back at that game, it was our last game before Christmas break, holiday break, and there's some funny similarities between that Northeastern game and the game against Raleigh Charter, where we got off to a hot start. We were shooting, high percentage from the field, builds confidence with the team, and that momentum then carried us throughout the game. Northeastern fought back in the third and the fourth quarter, much like Raleigh Charter did, but we were able to, sustain the momentum and really hold off both opponents. And like you said, Brianna Proctor, she got hers in the second half, ultimately in that game. And Northeastern is a very well coached team, with Coach Thornton, and call it an upset if you want. I was extremely proud of the girls, in that game as well as this past game against Raleigh Charter, and a lot of similarities for sure between the two games.
And what I'm impressed by is that you only got one senior. This is the youngest team has to be in the area. There's like a contrast between, Malcolm, the youth of Camden and the 45 seniors of Edenton.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
if you wanted to
absolutely.
put the teams together, it would be crazy just the amount of seniors going up against the amount of freshmen. And you know what? I'd give Camden a good chance to beat Edenton this year in girls basketball. It would be a tough matchup with Jakara Jackson, but that's interesting how you could have so much experience on one team. It's just the different levels with high school sports, phases, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes you get a lot, then you go down and you got to do a little more coaching, that kind of thing. But like I said, young team with Camden, other than J.C. Staples, only senior, but you had Shay Farabee, Haley Lloyd. These girls have really come alive, especially on Tuesday night. First playoff win since 2011. I think you got it from historian Mark Harnley.
Correct. I believe he. I tweeted that first playoff win in 8 to 10 years. He corrected me at 5 a.m. the next day that it was 2011. So definitely a big win for the program.
Harnley's good at that, correcting people.
He is good, and he always likes to rub it in my face, which is fine. I take it very well. So gotta do that. Respect Harnley a lot. Love him as a peer and a coach for the team.
Yeah, he's a guy that he'll correct you, and you go, you know what, you're Mark Harnley, and I'm not.
Right.
Okay, I'm not upset because I know what you're saying is right, and I need to know these things. So first one since 2011, and I realize you're still playing right now, but a win like Tuesday and finishing things off pretty strong. What does that mean for next year? New conference too, and you got almost everybody back.
Definitely. I think obviously it's, want to ride the momentum into the spring and summer, getting the girls back in the gym, once spring sports wind down. And like you said, new conference, definitely some new goals for the team as far as what now can we accomplish, after, having all this success with a young team led by JC. Now, my expectations for the team are going to be that much higher. There's going to be a shakeup at Plymouth with Franklin gone, seeing how they not necessarily rebuild, but just kind of reboot. And same with Perquimans, they lose some seniors. So this new conference should be interesting and probably stay competitive for sure. Moving on into the next season.
Looking at all those different elements, Malcolm, does that make Camden's girls a preseason favorite for? Are we talking?
They got to be up there, absolutely. I mean, all the amount of experience that these girls gained this year. I mean, you've got to put them right up there.
Yeah, it's funny. Before the show, Malcolm, Coach wasn't here, and you said they're going to finish 5th in that conference. So I really think it's upset.
This guy.
That just because the coach is here, you're going to sit there and make him feel better. I mean, I got to call it like it is, Coach. I got to be a Mark Harnley.
Hey,
I got to be honest right now.
I'm fine with it.
What's going on here? I mean, I thought it was wrong. I disagreed with you saying 5th.
Yep.
I'm going to put that on the record for everyone to hear.
If my memory does serve me correctly, I think we were preseason 7th this year in Coastal 10.
I tried to tell you that's what Malcolm did with these rankings.
Right. So
no.
not trying to call you out, Malcolm, or
I'll eat that crow. Crow tastes good.
Well, let's see. What you finished 4th in the conference this year,
right?
Again with the young team. So, who was above Camden then? Obviously, you had Plymouth above, and you had Perquimans, you had Ocracoke. I can't remember the other teams.
It was, I think, Cape. We split with Cape Hatteras.
Okay.
But I think Cape Hatteras had a tiebreaker over us with Manio, and we split with Manio. So I think that I don't know if Cape Hatteras beat Manio twice. I'm not sure what the tiebreaker was, but Cape Hatteras, even though we split with them, they were still they finished higher than us in the Coastal 10.
Wow. So rankings are for fun.
Yes.
As it shows.
Yep.
Because why do we play the games then?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Usual suspects winning Tuesday, Northeastern boys, who also beat Hertford County this past Friday for the Northeastern Conference, Coastal Conference Tournament Championship. Camden boys, we talked about the fight in Mark Harnley's getting things done. Hertford County boys won convincingly in its first round game. And of course, Perquimans, Malcolm, you were at Perquimans for girls and boys. The boys beat Lakewood. How did they get this done?
Defensively, they were all over. They were all over Lakewood. Breaking into passing lanes, getting steals, easy layups. Really kind of defended very well in the half court. And Malik Leach, just distributing and setting up everybody else. Dallas Hall, a little bit of inside out. Bailey Simons hitting shots from the outside. I know you had talked about how Perquimans, all their pieces fit. And when I saw them, it's the first time I've seen them since Camden back in December. And, you can see how the team has made that progression from December to where they are right now.
Once in a while, I have good analysis.
Yes.
Once in a while, it happens.
Yep. Take your credit.
I just don't want to get too boastful.
Oh, come on now.
I want to do that. I don't want to do too much of that. But Malik Leach is my boy.
Yep.
It's my boy status.
Mm-hmm.
Malik Leach, things he can do on the court. He doesn't get enough credit, I don't think. That was why he was on Team Owen, and that's why Team Owen won. People don't know the game was played. Team Owen won that game. Malcolm?
We'll debate that.
Malcolm? Telling you like it is. Team Owen had it going on.
I don't know about that.
Pretty sure.
My team was pretty good.
Okay. Well, let's get back to Coach. He seems a little perturbed at all this talk about Team Owen and Team Malcolm because we're still doing this like 2 or 3 weeks later. Pennsylvania native. But you spent enough years in North Carolina now, you kind of understand how the Tar Heel State goes, at least when it comes to high school athletics. The growth of charters and academies that are going into the 1A classification seems to grow every year. Obviously, you just played one. What's your take on that? There's some pretty heated opinions on this.
Definitely. With the charter schools and being more prevalent and kind of popping up, I'm not gonna knock a high school or a institution as far as educating students. They're competing just like we are in athletics. Obviously the usual arguments are they can recruit, take kids from different counties and so on and so forth. I guess some of those charter schools and academies try to swing, academics as being their draw for students, even though some of those schools seem to be stronger in basketball or football or baseball or volleyball, whatever it may be. I see it as a challenge to, as a, school like Camden. I went to a similar high school about the same size and outside of Erie, Pennsylvania. I don't say have a chip on my shoulder, but just prove that these public high schools can still compete at the highest level, whether it's 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, and with these charter schools and academies and be competitive. And I think this first round was very evident of that. And it's sheer competition.
I think if you're a charter school or like a Cardinal Gibbons and you want to be in the public association, it's okay, but I got one condition. You play 4A. I don't care your size. You play 4A because there is some uneven playing field with these schools, even if they're not trying to make it so. A charter school doesn't necessarily have boundaries like you do in a lot of 1A schools, because where do most 1A schools come from? Rural areas, smaller areas. Stuff like a Cardinal Gibbons, they could take anybody from anywhere. Back when they were 2A, they literally took some state championships from First Flight. I watched it. The volleyball team especially. They're trying to tell me some of these girls only started playing volleyball. I was like, BS. They're going to get scholarship money from Notre Dame to play volleyball. They've been playing a long time. And they come to Cardinal Gibbons to play for a fantastic volleyball program and other programs too. I'm not trying to knock the kids themselves. I'm not. They want to make the best of a situation. They'll go there. It's kind of like don't hate the player, hate the game. They're allowed to do this in this system. They're going to take advantage of it until something's changed. It just looks like it's growing more and more. And I don't see a good ending.
What was the talk? Was it a year or so ago about putting all the charter schools into their own league, but then they fought back to stay in to the.
I don't know how far that discussion went, but I know that's been an option or just something discussed. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's no different than being in a private school association. And that's what schools like Cardinal Gibbons were in those. And then they said, well, that's not competitive enough. We want to be in the public association. And the High School Athletic Association said, okay, come on. And then we know the rest. And now they are 4A. So it's sort of forgotten about. I thought it was funny how when a petition went around to kick Gibbons out, a lot of schools just didn't even vote. It was some of the smaller ones who did from around here. But that's not enough votes when you need some of them Raleigh votes, some Charlotte votes. They just said, oh, that's not really right. But then when Gibbons got moved up to 4A, some of those conferences in Raleigh area didn't want them in their conference. And they pushed back. I was like, oh, now we care a lot. I didn't think that was right either. So you only care now when it involves you, not when they were beating the bejesus out of 2A schools left and right. And now they've happened to get enough enrollment to be 4A, and you don't want them to be in your conference, or you're telling other conference teams don't play them. It's like, what do you do here? It's not the easiest of answers either. So I'm not even trying to point my finger and wag at the state necessarily. I mean, this team says we want to play public, and the state says, hey, do you meet these certain requirements that have been set up for years? And those rules could change. But right now, they meet the rule criteria to get in. That's what they're doing. And the charter schools is in the same realm. I mean, can they recruit? I don't know for sure. Some are in like lottery situations, like the charter school in Elizabeth City, where, of course, the one here doesn't have athletics yet. I know the charter school has talked about athletics, and they've had discussions on that. I don't know what school sports would start, but this is going to be something that the state, if they just keep kicking the can down the road, it's not a good look. Last year, that was kind of what happened. Oh, let's just form another committee and start talking some. No, there's going to need to be some action, or something's really going to start blowing up, and you didn't try to have an alternative plan early enough to curb this. And I don't know the answer. I wish I did. I like, if I'm making a point, I like to try to have some answer, but I don't know what the true answer would be here. But back to you again, Coach. You got some coaching masters on the staff at Camden. I call them the coaching masters, a la Harnley, and I say our version of Chuck Norris, Scott Jones. What have you learned from them? You're a young guy. I'm sure you want to soak up as much as you can from these guys.
Gosh, I mean, it seems like almost every day I learn something new from them. You know, just by watching and being around. When I first came to Camden 3 or 4 years ago, I just, was kind of Scott Jones' a shadow, just followed him around, observed, and, he definitely took me underneath his wing. He wasn't head coach at that time. I came under with Chris McGee, and Chris was a great friend to me, and I'll definitely throw him in there too. They have really just shown me the ins and the outs of coaching, the do's and the don'ts. And Scott was ending his teaching career, and I really got to see him do his thing in the classroom, and the kids. What you don't see out there on the field with Scott is that he is a fantastic teacher, loves history, has a wealth of information and knowledge, and he really pours his heart into not only Camden but his teaching and his coaching, and I'm sure that you guys have seen that. And Harnley, the same thing. I guess you can make comparisons that Harnley did the same thing. I mean, Scott was at Camden first, and he came in 92, 93, and then Harnley followed a couple of years later, and then those two guys have been household names obviously around here. And Harnley, I joke with Harnley, he forgets more basketball driving to school in the morning than I will probably ever accumulate in my lifetime. I mean, he has so much basketball knowledge. I ask him questions all the time about anything basketball related, and he in true Coach Harnley form, he usually has answers for me. So, but they've been so kind to me, and I can't speak enough about both of them, about Mark and Scott.
Yeah, it's Scott Jones Field at Camden. Would you agree? Not to put you on the spot.
Scott
Jones Field. Agree.
There
you go.
Agree.
I'm not mixing words with this, Malcolm.
Yeah, you haven't for a while.
I'm not.
Yeah.
This is Scott Jones Field, bottom line. But Scott Jones being the Chuck Norris guy that he is for the area, I mean, when Scott Jones looks at the ground, the grass cuts itself. That's my Chuck Norris. Chuck Jones.
There you go. There you go.
I just came up with that. It just happened.
Trademark.
Just slipped up. Trademark. Trademark. Chuck Jones. Oh, well, we've done this for the last few weeks. Of course, we had that little banter about the Team O on Team Malcolm right then. this is the last part of the series. We talked about a top 7 all-time for guys basketball, and I wanted to, again, the last part of the great basketball talent from Northeastern North Carolina, wanted to do a magnificent 7 of any NC girls basketball players. And at first I thought, where am I going to begin here? How am I going to branch this out? And all of a sudden it started coming to me. I said, wow, I've got something here. And the girls I'm picking, they don't go too far back. In fact, I don't know if I go back any further than the 90s, so that could be on me. Again, that's why people, we want you to write on Twitter like, hey, well, what about this person or that person? And we'll definitely include it on the next show. But I've got this 7 together. Feeling pretty good about it. And again, listen on YouTube for the all-time boys team, which was last week, and then our current top 7, say current, the players obviously going on right now, boys and girls, and we had a lot of fun putting that together. But now we're going to finish it up with the all-time girls, and I think I'm ready to go on this. A lot of research. Kendra Lee from Brookwomen's. She helped the Lady Pirates reach the 2000 state championship game. She could play all 5 positions. She was just dynamic. Great player for Brookwomen's. She had a point guard that was with her. I think Ashley Sessoms was her name. Was really great as well. And having those two together at the 1A level, you would have loved to have these two, Coach. I'm just saying, especially just Kendra herself. She was the type of player you look at and you thought power forward. Then you watched her bring the ball up the court, point guard. Or, oh, okay, outside shooter. Okay, I like this. Can use her anywhere, and that's how versatile she was. Kendra Lee from Brookwomen's. Kayla Ballard from Gates. I believe you remember Miss Ballard.
Absolutely, yeah.
All-state performers, now at Liberty. She actually took that last year and just went to Liberty early.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches in the Coastal 10 were okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
And led Gates to a regional semifinal appearance, I believe, her last year playing for the Lady Red Barons. Another who could play multiple positions if she had to.
Definitely.
What was her biggest strength, you think?
I mean, like you said, I mean, she could go inside, outside. I mean, bring the ball down the court, and then pass it to a wing, and then all of a sudden dive in the low post, and then go do work. I mean, really inside out. I mean, she was spectacular.
Courtney Bass from Edenton. This is going back to the 90s. One of the Aces' best all-around female athletes. Not tall by any means, but some kind of tenacious. I mean, she would just go after it. Another great distributor. She's the type of girl who just love to have some of these players to play with, and she could get them the ball. It would not be difficult for her. She found ways. Made a few long postseason trips for the Lady Aces, some great teams they had there in the later 1990s. Courtney Bass from Edenton. Quinata Petaway from Brookwomen's. That's a name still familiar to people because she didn't graduate from Brookwomen's too long ago. Another all-state talent, and she ended up starting at Clemson. Not too many girls basketball talents move on to play major Division I college basketball. She was one of them. She still helps out in the area. I know she's helped out a few high school teams and doing some individual lessons as well. She's played a little bit overseas. So I think she's just trying to find her footing. I think she got a degree in psychology from Clemson. So I don't know. Maybe she goes back to school as well. I mean, she's still young. She's still got a lot ahead of her. But a great player while at Brookwomen's. Also a great volleyball player. She just picked up the sport. Hey, let's get the tall girl and play volleyball. Sure, middle blocker, you'll work. And she did it. It's like she'd been playing for years. Quinata Petaway from Brookwomen's. Erica Rivera from Pasquotank. Great ball handling skills. Probably too flashy at times, if that makes sense. She could sit there and she'd go in for a layup, and she was by herself. She'd want to put it behind her back and do some mess, and it'd drive any coach crazy. But more often than not, she'd still make the basket. It was just kind of, all right, we know you got abilities. 2006 Northeastern Coastal Conference Player of the Year, went on to play at George Mason. Carly Pruitt, Manio, I say Manio / First Flight. She did play at both schools, part of a basketball family, and she used that as motivation. Pretty solid forward in her own right, another great volleyball player as well. She had a few games that she was injured. Otherwise, she started every game for 4 years. She was at Manio at first, and then First Flight opened in 2004, and she went to the beach school and did a great job there for the Lady Nighthawks. And then coach Dan Corbin. Dan Corbin, one of the best basketball coaches we've had in this area. boys and girls, but did a lot more girls basketball in his last years before retiring. Jessica Breland from Bertie. What do you know? Another great athlete from Bertie, right? We got to throw another Bertie athlete on here. She went on to play at UNC, then the WNBA, and fought off obviously a bigger battle, cancer survivor. And she was diagnosed with cancer while she was at UNC. Fought it off and came back and played for the Tar Heels. So definitely a lot of respect for Jessica Breland. That's the 7. I need a coach again. I'm going to go with Fred White of Edenton. He's been retired for a few years now, but at one time, Malcolm, he was in the top 10 in the state for all-time wins. So Fred White at Edenton would be a nice choice to wrap up the final part of the series. Magnificent 7 of girls basketball players in the NENC. What do y'all think? Didn't really hear much last week. I don't know. Maybe people forgetting history. We don't want people to forget history. You got to remember it. Of course, in this case, I would be okay to repeat it. Doomed to repeat it. It's not really doomed. Let's bring these girls back and play. Some of these girls can still play right now. I'm telling you. Some of these come out there right now and whip some tail. Some of these schools in the area, it would not be a good time for some of the teams. Just go out there, and we haven't run plays in years. I don't care. Just go out there and play. That would be the fun of it. Well, that was a lot, and I think we need to take a break. More Northeastern North Carolina sports after this.
Discover graduate education at Elizabeth City State University. ECSU currently offers 4 graduate degree programs: elementary education, biological sciences, school administration, and mathematics. To learn more, contact the Office of Graduate Education at 252-335-3947 or online at ecsu.edu.
Can't lie, Malcolm. You can't let the sun go down on us.
I see where we're going here.
Yeah. Just in case we don't hear the rest of the song. Some people got to know that great ballad. How about we Shimon now?
Jump on, get on me, all right.
Aquan already called this Shimon now when things broke down this weekend. Like, I bet you got something for this week's show. I said, yes, I do. Hours began to go by Saturday. No basketball playoff brackets announced. Eventually, the NCHSAA said, no mas. We're just going to wait till Sunday to release. I have to think by Friday, you have a pretty strong clue where the majority of teams are going. You could already have had the teams with the seeds put together, and you're really just looking at tiebreakers that might be where the conference tournament could decide those tiebreakers, or a situation like Cannon-Brook Women's boys, where you just went ahead and played a game because the Coastal 100 just can't have a tournament. There's just no time for a tournament in the Coastal 500.
Which is fine by me.
Right. Seemed to be fine for a lot of coaches. It seemed to be a lot of the smaller schools coaches that wanted it, I guess, for basically a fundraiser, because each school gets a little piece of the money, even though you're all doing all the work.
Right.
They're coming to see your schools. I'm answering it for you. And if you feel like there's something wrong with it, come right out and say, oh, and you're not right on this. It wouldn't be the first time.
No comment after that.
Yeah. So, of course, when I saw State Commissioner Q. Tucker in a photo depicting a war room of workers, and she was looking confused, I was like, uh-oh, here's some trouble.
Yeah.
They might have problems with these playoff brackets. You want to say something, Coach?
No, I mean,
They had a lot of phone charges in there.
that was the start of the waiting forever. It seemed like you said the tweet went out, picture went out with the war room, and then it was like hours went by, and I was like, okay.
That photo didn't look good of her. Like, she looked like she was in over her head. And I'm thinking, why are you in over your head? Y'all have done this before. But maybe there's too much going on with the state wrestling tournament is the same day, like championship day, and they're doing it in Greensboro. I mean, so they're all there. You got the state wrestling championships going on. Of course, you got all 4 classifications of the state tournament. It's not just one classification going on. It's all 4. A lot of wrestling going on with that. There's also 2 seeds that we're looking at now, this region seed and the sub-region seed, which confuses me.
I still don't understand it.
I mean, I was looking at, I thought Gates was home for a game, looking at people were asking me. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's this region seed. That means they're on the road. Okay, well, their sub-region seed looks better than the region seed against this team. I'm just going, gosh. Somebody punched me in the face. I need some clarification or something. Maybe something to wake me up. I don't know. It just seemed confusing. So maybe it's time to go back old school. Just assign a team's conference finish to a spot so the guesswork's taken out. Like, for example, you got a bracket and it says Coastal 10-1 against Tar Roanoke 4. Right. And this and that go that way with it. And you know the whole time you finish this, and that kind of says all conferences are equal, which is the way the state has pretty well thought of things for years. You can only do one thing or another, though. This is a big state, a lot of travel. If you're saying we don't want to play a conference team in the first round, then you're going to have to travel a long ways. But that hurts the bottom line, which a lot of smaller schools especially are hurting for money. Everybody's hurting for money, but you're going to travel more. That's going to cost more. So what do you do? Like, what are you taking? It's hard to even compromise on this. It's pretty much one or the other. All that being said, though, you just can't delay a release like this. I mean, a lot of people are expecting this. I'm sure with you guys, in a lot of schools, they knew they were going to have to travel for the most part. Pretty certain you're going to travel, like 98% sure. Each minute is vital so that when you find out, you can make a call, you can set up the bus. I mean, you just got to get the bus. You just don't call the supervisor for buses and go, hey, can I have a bus in 10 minutes? It don't work like that. And now you're waiting another day. Of course, it's Sunday. How are you going to get with anybody on Sunday anyway? So it's basically now Monday. Since you're not getting it done on time, you're setting up 300 or some schools or whatever it is. You're putting them behind, and you owe it to those schools to put something out. There was like a preliminary for girls, then that was quickly taken off, but it was all out of whack. And that just can't happen again. I mean, I'll put it to you like this. Would it have happened, and both y'all, any of y'all can answer here, would it have happened if it was football?
No, they would have had that pretty much wrapped up by probably Friday night.
Right.
Saturday's just the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I'll go to bat for the association and just say, like you said, wrestling was going on at the same time. Wrestling is, I did some reading, is the biggest event that they put on and going on in the same location. I guess there's some unknown factors that we don't know about as coaches. Outside people that probably could have went into effect. I think everyone was frustrated, but at the same time, you got to give them some slack. But I think you're spot on. Every moment was as far as planning accordingly. ADs are trying to make phone calls, set up buses. I mean, we knew we were traveling somewhere. I mean, it was just where. But I hope that they get the kinks worked out this first time around, and then now if they're going to continue with this, next year it'll be a smoother transition. I'm with you on having the pre-seeding, as far as 1 from this conference will play, 4 from another conference, and I think it's just a merry-go-round of them just trying to I guess please the coaches and the ADs, but I mean it's going to be an ongoing circle. I mean, what do you think, Malcolm? I mean you're going to have your pros and cons for every situation.
Yeah, no system is perfect. Do you want to travel, or do you want to have a shorter travel, but you have to play someone that you've seen a couple times in the season? There's no perfect system. Hopefully at some point, there'll be some sort of consistency in terms of how to get a playoff.
Here's one more thing I'll leave you with is you find out Saturday who you're playing. You can do a little bit of scouting. You can look at a little bit of film Saturday night.
Yeah.
Sunday night is a school night. So, yeah, you're probably going to still stay up late being a coach and you care and you're trying to put in the extra work. Make it a little bit tougher to get up that next morning.
No question.
Which I'm sure you felt that. Coach Harnley probably did. Everybody going, oh, God, because everyone's in this together because No one knew for sure who they're playing Saturday. They knew Sunday. So to miss out on that time, and then when you had to start doing that time was a school night. These are just, I know they're small things,
But they add up.
but
sure.
they do. A lot of them add up, and I just hope it's a learning lesson for the state moving forward that they can come up with something else to make this easier, or just I'll throw a plug in the high school OT. Listen to Nick Stevens. He had it all together already. I would, if I was in that situation, I'd been Q Tucker. Beep 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 boop beep. Hey, Nick Stevens, it's Q Tucker. What's going on? Hey, those brackets, they pretty good? You good with that? Yeah, I think we're good with that too. So just keep it between us, but if you could slide those over, that'd be great. Okay?
Right.
Thanks a bunch, Nikki. Have a good day. Shimon now.
Jump on, jump on.
DeMar Sutton become a leader for the Northeastern boys basketball team. The junior had 21 points in the Eagles' first round 2A playoff win against Southern Vance. Let's hear more from Mr. Sutton. This first game, was there a lack of focus, a lack of confidence early? Why would that be the case when you look over and only see 7 players for the other team?
Well,
And you're the better seed.
Well, it starts in the locker room before the game. We wasn't focused at all. We got people laughing around. I don't know if it's because they've never been here before, but I mean, I don't know. I told them it's one and done. I mean, we either win or go home. I try to get them focused, and they ain't listen. So.
What changed at halftime? Was it just the idea that you're down 3 and that should not be happening? Or?
Well, the coaches came in, they chewed us out. They came and got us and motivated us. We came out next half and do better, and we came out hot in the second half.
Has there been like a chip on your shoulder all year because everyone was saying, well, they don't have Sean Walker anymore. They're not going to be as good, or Trey Carver's gone. You've had to hear that kind of talk. Has that motivated you in any way?
Yeah. Yeah, it has. Like, I mean, being that they're going, everyone in town talking about it. We don't have them, we missing them, whatever. It just pushed me to do more. You know what I'm saying? Put the team on my back and continue rising.
Did you take it personal in the conference championship when you're hearing about Hereford County, Ja'Cory Roberson?
Of course.
And the 2 games probably Northeastern should have won. Did you take it upon yourself say, hey, I was preseason player of the year for a reason?
Of course, I had no choice but to take it personal. We lost them twice. I mean, I had to come in the championship. Couldn't let it happen again at our home. Couldn't let it happen again. So I just came out aggressive.
What are you going to have to do to refine their roles to try to get back at least to another Eastern or regional final?
Keep pushing the players in the locker room every day in practice. Just keep getting on them. Continue being a leader.
What's Coach Nixon's message to y'all now? I know he loves to have those post-game talks that are about 2 hours long.
He basically said just win to go home. We came too far to lose this early in the playoffs. We're trying to get back to the Eastern Regional Championship and get to the state championship, hopefully. But we just got to continue pushing ourselves, and our pregame preparation it got to change. Basically, that's the bottom line. It got to change. We got to stop playing. I feel like right now we're a young team, and I don't think we're focused enough. We still got a little bit of childish ways. I feel like we got to that got to change. Bottom line, it's playoff season. If we lose, we're done. We got to change our pregame preparation.
When Coach goes on his honeymoon, it's going to be on an island in the sun.
See what you did there.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what I got to deal with in the office.
Shamal, now to you. Okay. Enough witty banter. Time for some Twitter shouting.
Your tweets go here. Twitter shouts.
This one from one of our good friends and Chris Bell. He's at CBellCU2010. This is what he put out there. No NENC sports on East-West men's soccer roster. Incredible that no one from First Flight made the team. Now, yes, First Flight, of course, state champions this year at the 2A level. And I thought the playoffs made it look easy throughout. And that was their 3rd trip to a state championship in 4 years. Amazing.
Incredible.
Amazing for this area, for anybody. and finally broke through. Coach Juan Ramirez, great coach, done an incredible job with that program. Dare County soccer rules, we all know that. Sometimes painfully, if you're like Camden, sometimes playing them, even Manio or First Flight and other schools here just know. I need to look more at the makeup of the roster. Was there a senior or two that did really well? It's got to be a senior. And it might be that First Flight's a pretty young team. So if you're not a senior, you can't play East-West. I'm trying to give them a benefit of a doubt. I think the last East-West boys player from this area would be from Camden and Bronson Watts.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the last one. I know last year was Christina Galvin for girls from Northeastern, who had been an area player of the year as well. So really, if there's between Shrine Bowl and East-West, the area's had a lot more East-West representation. So I'll almost try to give a little bit of leeway to the East-West people because it seems every year there's at least one or two representatives through at least one of the sports from this corner. I've got to think football. There would be somebody. I just can't come up with that person off the top of my head because some of the impact players were not seniors this year.
A lot of them were juniors or sophomores.
Right. And so that might be a reason that there's a cutoff there. I would say Trey Sawyer, possibly at linebacker because he had 520 tackles this year at the linebacker spot.
That's a lot of tackles.
He didn't have 520 tackles.
You're kidding.
I was kidding.
Look at me.
Yeah. You were very
I would have believed it.
That. Yeah, you did.
I feel like,
you had a look on your face that you believed every bit of it.
I mean, he was his
he did have a lot of tackles.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how many. Obviously, triple digits. But he had a good enough year. He's going to play UNC Pembroke. If I could just think at the top of my head who could make East-West for football, and it would be, I'd say his numbers would give him an opportunity. So I think there'll be somebody from the Northeast corner from one of these sports. I just don't know what it's at. That might be the best bet. Okay. Well, we encourage all of you to tweet about any NC sports. Yours might get put on the air. You have thoughts, you have questions, we'll try to answer them. We'll put them up here. Use the hashtag NENC Sports. State Wrestling Championships. We did mention that briefly with the whole brouhaha about the basketball seeding. First Flight's Aryan Lee. Carlos Martinez won state titles. Lee's at 106. Martinez 195. Jeremiah Derby lost in the 120 final, unable to win back-to-back state championships. Pasquotane's Anthony Bonner. Great run for Mr. Bonner. First year ever as a state qualifier. Senior year, gets to the championship, loses 4-2 in that 182 final to the same guy he lost to 6-3 in the regional final. He's been right there with that guy both times. He just could not get that critical takedown to swing the match. But it's still an incredible year for Anthony Bonner. We mentioned First Flight before, boys soccer. The state title number for First Flight this year, 2016-17, is now 6. Boys soccer, that's a team title, so you count it as 1. 3 individual state titles in indoor track, and now 2 for wrestling. Wow. What a year to be a Nighthawk.
Not bad at all.
What a season to be a Nighthawk. But let's get the second round playoff matchups now for basketball. Boys 2A, Aiden Grifton at Northeastern. Aiden Grifton, that Eastern Carolina Conference, pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
Aiden Grifton goes to Burlington Cummings, wins 62-61. Northeastern says, thank you, we can be home again. Second round game. I watched Northeastern to slog through Southern Vance. Really did not play with a lot of passion, especially the first half. Southern Vance came in with 7 players. 7. Finished with 6. I don't know where the other guy went. I don't think anybody got hurt. But Northeastern, I think, took them for granted. And before you know it, they're down 3 at halftime. But you didn't feel like Northeastern was down. But they were. The scoreboard's what matters. They were down 3 at halftime. And you're going, what is going on here? Sometimes they were a little too aggressive early in that full court press, and they got burned a couple times. And then when they didn't, Southern Vance just settled into a lot of half court. Obviously, they want to run a lot of time off the clock and play as slow and methodical as possible. I mean, why wouldn't you with those few numbers? And you're playing a team as good as Northeastern, as talented as the Eagles. They did not play as a team that looks poised to go a few rounds deep. And we've mentioned this, Malcolm. That's that enthusiasm. At times it's lacking. And it certainly was Tuesday until they went ahead and got things done. Of course, DeMar Sutton started lighting things up. And Clifford Shaw had a good game as well, but it was later on where they just imposed their will. Basically, it was a game of we have more talent than you, and we're just going to out-talent you. Now, obviously, second, third round, that's not going to happen like that. They're going to have to come out and be much more sound. And some of these shots are just throwing it up there. Like you're just hoping for something. And I don't know. I mean, Aiden Grifton is going to be a good team. Is a good team. You know what? I'm just going to have to give Northeastern a slight edge. I'm hoping they wake up from that Tuesday game. I think Dean Smith was one of the ones who would say, beware of the team that's real talented that slacked off that first round and barely won, because now they know. Now they've gotten a nice taste of it, and they won to get there, so they're going to be much more fired up. I'll give it to the Eagles by like 8. What do you got?
I think you could kind of expect Northeastern to come out slow in the first round after just having that emotional high, beating Hereford County, the team that's knocked them off twice during the regular season, and you got a first round matchup, and like you mentioned that they knew that they had a better talent. I think the Eagles are going to come out. It's going to be a tight one. Of course, Aiden Grifton coming out of that really tough conference. I think the Eagles' home court advantage will give them the slight edge. You
have a prediction, Coach?
I haven't seen Northeastern a whole lot this year, but I'd say Northeastern by 10 to 15. I mean, Coach Nixon will get them going.
Warren County at Hertford County. Of course, Hertford County they came back strong after losing the conference tournament title. And if you're Coach Charles Simmons, you go, guys, this don't mean anything. Yeah, we lost the Northeastern Tournament Championship. You want to win every game. We got that seed thing down. The regular season is what matters. One thing I do like about the playoff situation, it tells you regular season matters. Yeah. It didn't matter that the tournament title went to Northeastern. That's nice. But Hereford County's got that championship seed. And that's why you saw them run right through their first round team. And I think they'll have the same result against Warren County. I've got the Bears.
I'll go for Hereford County.
No question. Hereford County.
Okay. Boys 1A, James Keenan at Camden. Camden got through the Research Triangle. I said fighting IBMers. Research Triangle IBMers.
Which was hilarious.
But somebody, Research Triangle's Twitter account
got back at you.
Yes, said, no, we're Apple. They're like Apple guys. And I'm going, but IBM is in the research. Did I miss that? In there. That was where the joke came from. And if they're going to pay for your school, maybe I'll call myself IBMers. I don't give a dang.
No question.
But I don't think, obviously, that's not the case. So I'll just wrote back, hey, that's okay. I like Apple anyway, and it's actually healthier. So this is good. Good for y'all. But Camden didn't have much trouble with that. James Keenan's going to be a little different beast. I mean, we've said it so many times. What Harnley has done, it's like we're kissing his tail all night. But I mean, the truth is truth. What he's done with this team, with the tallest guy being like 5'4" on this team or whatever it is just unbelievable. Gotten a lot out of J.R. Williams. You knew you're going to get a lot out of Zach Roberson, who's now going to play at North Carolina Wesleyan next year. Excited for the kid. Brock Colson is a guy I think you need to watch for. You know about Zach Roberson. You know about J.R. Williams. That's another guy that J.R. can kick out to. It's another 3-point threat. Here's a kid that if he gets 10 points against James Keenan, Camden's got this one.
They should cruise.
Camden's got this one. That's where I'm going to base this on. Even if he gets like 8, it's those little contributions from those other guys that make all the difference. I'm going with Camden.
I'm going to go with the whole team and go with the Bruins.
Obviously, Camden. I mean, sure. Mark. I mean, he's worked his magic again this season.
He doesn't listen to this, so if you want to pick James Keenan, go right ahead. Okay. Burquemin's at Spring Creek. Burquemin's taking the trip to Wayne County. And like you said, Lakewood played very well. I don't know, though. I think this is a toss-up. They're leaving the conference of Hertford. Yeah. I'm going to go with Spring Creek.
I think that the Pirates, I tried to talk to Coach Johnson about, how did that Camden game play in their mindsets? It's like, we didn't think about it at all. We kind of moved on, and they kind of showed that, especially in the second half. I think that they can bottle that energy and that effort that they had in the first round against Lakewood and take it on the road with them, and I'm going to go with the Pirates.
Yeah, I think Coach Johnson has done a great job at Perquimans. I think Perquimans in a close one against Spring Creek, like by 5.
Okay, I'm the bad guy. Okay. Not the first time. Probably won't be the last.
Someone's got to be it.
I am. Camden at Pamlico. We'll let you Kurt Herbstreit this one. Pamlico is going to be a little different beast than Raleigh Charter. Like Coach, like you were telling me before, they're going to press a lot. They've got depth. They've got a lot of different pieces of the puzzle. This is a team that, in their minds, probably expecting to go 3 or 4 rounds deep. This will be a heck of a task. Great run to get to this point, but the loss. And hey, going to the all season, feeling good though about so many players coming back next year. Malcolm,
Go with the home team.
okay. Ocracoke at Plymouth. We got 2 Coastal 10 teams playing each other in the next round. Sydney Austin, that's your girl, I think.
Yep.
That's your girl for Team Malcolm.
Yes.
Who unfortunately took another loss, like she's going to take on Tuesday against Plymouth. But did I pick Brittany Franklin? I think I got
both.
Did you get Franklin too?
I got both, yes.
Dang. No wonder it was a closer game than expected. So at the same time, got to have Plymouth on that one. They swept the series. So, yeah.
Yeah, gotta go with the Vikings.
Manio at Northampton. I don't know much about Northampton. That conference is always hard to figure out. Manio going to Pender and winning was impressive, just like you guys going to Raleigh Charter. Cary Academy. I knew I was going to say it at some point. Raleigh Charter with the Invisible Gym. So going to Cary Academy for that. But I guess I'll just give it to Northampton. I'll go with the home team there.
With the Manio. I think they go up there and get the upset.
And then the girls 2A, Warren County at Bertie. This is the 1 seed in the East for a reason.
Yeah, Bertie.
Watched them play Pasquotank in the conference championship, and Pasquotank had some chances. They had to slow the pace down. The problem is Pasquotank likes to run and can with its guard, so what do? You want to do what you can do. Roy Williams will always say, I always hear, take what the defense gives you. I don't want that. I want to take what I want. And so, unfortunately, Pasquotank plays in the Bertie's hands a little bit, and that started to show in that third quarter when they went cold, and Bertie just took it to the basket a few times. Autumn Mooring, Kia King, who won Conference Player of the Year, and played like I thought they could play. For a while, I'm watching them going, this isn't the number 1 seed in the East. Like this is not that team. But there were flashes that said, okay, this is a team that could go 3 or 4 rounds if they can put that together for an entire game.
I guess the Bertie's kind of defense. It's kind of tough playing a team 3 times in a season, and you've kind of had your way the first couple times.
Right, and Bertie's had their way with everybody. Although Pasquotank played them close in the first meeting late last year. I think it was like an 8-point game. It was looking like it would be that case on Friday at Northeastern, but Bertie just proved they were the best team and probably one of the most dominant runs for Bertie in the area in a while. And they've had some dominant runs. Notice I mentioned Jessica Breland a while back, players off teams like that. Okay, let's get into colleges. Mackey Women's Hoops, they host their season-ending Chesson Classic this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Mustang Men last weekend finished 3rd in the Bible College NIT, which it hosted last Thursday through Saturday. ECSU softball, 86 runs they gave up in 4 games combined to start the season. I think you know what happened in all 4 of those. Could be another rough spring for a team. Just has 10 players. Might get an 11th from the women's basketball team. New coach and Mike Pierce. Speaking of ECSU basketball, CIAA tournament, men and women lose first round. Women were up after the first quarter, then went through one of their typical scoring droughts, shot just 25% for the game. I don't know if you can win a game shooting 25%. Odds tend to tell you no matter what you're doing on defense. So there's that. Malcolm, the guys. Where do we go from here with the guys?
Obviously they lost in the first round. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with the program. This team had a pretty good, good handful of guys who were seniors. Elon Edwards was, the catalyst for them offensively. Where does the program go from here? We got to think they're going to be bringing in a new coach, and they're going to have a whole off season to try to get some pieces in there to try to rebuild the basketball program.
Yeah, there's just a lot here.
Yeah.
So many questions. And like you're alluding to, you don't really know where to start. And yeah, there were a lot of seniors off the team, even a team that only won 3 games. I just don't know where you go from here. Like, is there something on this team you can build around?
I guess the freshman John Maynard, he was, CIAA all-rookie team first year. He had a, pretty good year. He seems he has the body type, that he could be a guy who can be a leader on the team in terms of, scoring and all of that, but he's going to need a lot more help around him.
Well, I think we can go ahead and close things up now. We're getting to the nitty-gritty of the college season. Pretty much just softball for ECSU at this point. But as we close up, follow us on Twitter. NENC Sports. I'm at ONOBX. Malcolm.
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
And Coach.
Matt_Sundberg 22.
That's for the latest sports updates. We go beyond our radio time a good bit if you're listening on WRVS 89.9 FM, your community voice, getting all the plugs in there as I can. So go to YouTube if you're not listening on YouTube already. Search for either WRVS 89.9 or NENC Sports. That's going to have everything on it for you. And all the past episodes we've had from the 3rd season. Again, 27 episodes of this season. We've had quite a bit, a lot of guests, a lot of good times. Owen Hassel, Malcolm Shields, Coach Matt Sundberg for Camden Girls Basketball. Would you be back on the show one time? We ask again.
No question. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to both of you guys for having me on, and to WRVS.
Good stuff. It's the NENC, and don't you see?
Athletes live here.
NENC Sports Radio Show is produced at the WRVS-FM studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University.